I don't know why not many people talk about this. I mean, it's never gonna be expensive because this is a fast growing plant, so it's never gonna be rare or anything like that. But for indoors and also for outdoors, these guys are clear winners. Hi guys, my name is Sean. I'm a houseplant enthusiast from Jakarta, Indonesia. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the care and propagation of the Chrysothemis pulchella. This plant hails from South and Central America. It's actually very resilient, very strong plant, and it's super stunning. This is actually one of my favorite plants of all times. Every time I'm walking around gardens or plant stores, I gotta stop by and check these guys out for a bit. So this is in a Gesneriaceae family, which means that they put out these bell-like flowers, very similar to your African violets and also your Aeschynanthus, which is your lipstick plant. But this one sports really beautiful leaves. It's got this color that is impossible to describe. It's like greenish, bluish, silverish, and at certain angles you can even see that it's a little bit copperish. And the leaf colors really complement with the flower colors, as you can see here. So it is really quite a showstopper, and the back of this plant is actually maroon. So this is also one of my favorites because they can stand a lot of different conditions. Let's talk quickly about the care. I've seen this plant in low light, although I don't recommend it. They do thrive in bright shade, medium light. They can take some direct sunlight. And in one of my videos in Bali, I actually walked by a clump of this on the side of the road, and they were grown in almost full sun. So there's basically just a wall behind them, and then they were just getting beat up by direct sunlight, and they seem to be okay, although I don't recommend that kind of setup. Now this plant can be very thirsty, especially if you give it really good light, or if you give it very fast draining potting mix. So be mindful of that. When they do dry up, they wilt, so they tell you when to water them, and if you go too far gone, they will crisp up on the leaves. They will start sacrificing the edges of the leaves, and that's when you know you have underwatered it. So this is a little bit more thirsty than your regular tropical houseplants, but you don't want to smother them with water, you don't want to drain them with water, you don't want to keep it drowned. And you fertilize this the same with your other houseplants. I've actually never paid special attention with fertilizing them. Usually my general tip is if you grow them in better light, you might want to fertilize them just a little bit more. This is because they maybe need that bit of boost when they do photosynthesis. A lot more is happening to them when you give them better light, and they will grow really fast. They will grow bigger leaves and really short internodes. So I do recommend bright indirect light for this, and do fertilize it lightly but not too often. You don't want to burn the leaves. And then they're not pest prone at all. I've actually never had any pest pressures on this plant, so this is a really good candidate for like beginners. Just so you know, I actually bought this plant almost 2 to 3 years ago, and I had propagated many of these, so I already have a lot of experience with propagating this plant. And a lot of them were just died back. I just neglected it in my front yard, and then because they were so fast growing, they almost looked like a weed. So I did not even bother like propagating them, saving them or whatever. So all I have is this when I moved to this home. And look at how cute it looks in this pot. It's super nice, right? The complementary colors. It's like this mustard color with this beautiful, gorgeous leaf color and the flower. Oh, actually, I'm quite obsessed with it. No, I don't want to propagate it. I'm kidding. I will propagate it, of course. But this plant is, again, very easy to propagate, and it is wonderful. It's beautiful. It's so easy and it's so soothing. It's always growing when you see them. There's always new growth point, and it's just, I don't know, I keep saying it is beautiful, but I think you really have to hold one of these in your arms or really stop by and appreciate them. Take a few minutes to appreciate them, and you'll realize they're actually really beautiful, and they require so little care. And sorry, I'm just filming the back of it as I was moving it to the propagation area. You see how beautiful this is? This is literally glowing. This is getting bright indirect light, but it is glowing so beautifully. And at night, if you have like a bit of a landscaping action, or if you want to shine light on it, it would look so stunning. And look at this electrifying bit of veins happening here. Oh my gosh, I really can spend a lot of time just staring at these, appreciating these. And also, by the way, I forgot to mention the care portion. If you want to get darker leaves, give them medium light, or maybe not low light, but like give them less than ideal light. This will produce really beautiful dark, really impossible to describe colors, because now this was grown in very bright indirect light, this one plant, and that's why the leaves are a little bit more lighter in color. But this is absolutely a showstopper. Gorgeous. I don't know why not many people talk about this. I mean, it's never going to be expensive because this is a fast-growing plant, so it's never going to be rare or anything like that. But for indoors and also for outdoors, these guys are clear winners. All right, now we're in the surgery table, and then this plant is actually tolerant to many potting medium. So this one I have it in a bit of a mix. I think just whatever leftover that I had, but I'm going to be propagating it into my general purpose potting mix. I have a video on that. I know I haven't been tagging my own potting media for a while. Cocoa peat, perlite, burnt rice hull, and worm casting in here. And the first thing that I want to do actually is to cut off the flowers. Unfortunately, these are so beautiful, but the flowers are going to be draining so much energy from this plant that we have to take it off during propagation. And then the top cutting is quite important. The top cutting hasn't fully unfurled yet, these new leaves. Look at how stunning this is, you guys. Look at that. All right, so I'm going to take the top off, and then let me show you some details here. So when you take the top off, this has many leaves. You know what I'm gonna do even? I'm gonna take off one. This is because this cutting will actively try to save all its leaves. Sorry, this is the one that we're gonna keep. I think this is a good size actually for a cutting. So again, what this cutting needs to do now is that it's going to put out roots. It's gonna put out roots from the stems, and then it's gonna try to push out new growth too. And the more flowers are coming, I better pluck them off. See these buds here? Pluck them off. These are gonna drain so much energy from this plant. So instead of putting out flowers, this will put out leaves. If you have too many leaves, this will wilt and this may actually die off because they're really actively wasting all this energy to the leaves, to preserving these leaves. And you don't want to take them all off as well. You could technically take this one off, but I'm keeping it because this is still photosynthesizing. This is still providing energy for it to produce roots and new leaves. So you got to find a balance in between. You got to compromise. This is why I took off one leaf. I am not team callus. I know that some of you guys are pretty gung-ho about callusing everything overnight or whatever. I don't. I never do. And I've had really great success. So say what you want about callusing. You can do it if you're that guy, but then there's a danger, there's a risk when you are callusing your plant to every minute that the plant is not in contact with like a wet media or water, it is slowly dying. And then I want to show you this actually. What happens if I cut this and I just leave this be is that these, you see these little things here, these will sprout into two vines. So they actually respond well to pruning. When you prune them, they become bushy. You cut one off, you get two new vines, maybe even multiple ones because it's lost its apical bud. I'm going to link a video up above where I explain what apical bud or apical dominance is. When you release sort of its apical dominance, these lower vines will be activated and they can actually grow and become bushy. Now, as you know, I will probably take more cuttings from this there. Now, I have an option. I can either take one leaf off or I can leave both of them here. Normally, I do take one out, but let's see what happens. Now, when we see this in the update, we'll probably see the leaves wilt really bad because this is actively trying to save two really big leaves. So what's happening in this cutting is that it's going to root and then it's going to sprout these two vines. Usually it's both, but it could also be just one. And I bet that these can be propagated in water. You could probably do water propagation on these, but I'm not gonna do it today. So yeah, do it at your own discretion. I'm gonna stick that in here. And then let me see, do I wanna do more? You know what? I might actually be okay with this. So I'm gonna take off some of the older leaves here. Take this off. Sorry, I'm not in frame, am I? Hang on, let me move this down a bit. And take this off. This is like not doing so well. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this. This is the parent plant. Again, when we have cut off, actually this is all yellowing. This is probably too much light. This is a bit of a burn actually. But this leaf will actually still do. So as you can see here, there are many opportunities for this plant to vine and grow. But keep in mind, for the mother plant, water it less. It's got a lot less. It's lost all these leaves. It's lost all these leaves and the flowers. So it's not going to consume as much water, and if you smother it with as much water as before, which actually I did water this twice a day because it's living in very tight pot, fast draining potting mix, it's getting very, 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 very bright indirect light. So water according to your conditions, that's what I would say, but in this case, water is this less. And for this, I will just lightly moisten every day. And I want to keep this in sort of a medium light, only because it is still photosynthesizing, these cuttings, and if you give it the same light as before and it has no roots or anything, it will wilt really fast. So we really wanted to get enough light for it to photosynthesize. It's all about balance. I want to keep it moist, but not to the point where you rot this cutting. I thought it's really important to show you my placement. Just so you know, it's living here under a shelf, which means it's getting I would say medium light, but it's getting some light from that window, some very filtered light. So this is, I would say, is a medium indirect. And I also want to show you how I water this. This is the first time I'm watering it. There you go. Very little. That's it. It doesn't need to drink a lot of water. It just needs to have a lightly moist soil to take off. Wish me luck on these. I have a good feeling about this one. Welcome to a 7 weeks update. This is actually the mother plant, and this is actually very, very entertaining because it's flowering. So look at the beautiful flower on these. How amazing. Hang on, it's like in backlight. There, this is much better. And basically it's put out a vine where we made the cut. We made the cut right in the center of the screen. It's put out 3 new vines that's come out. I gotta take care of the old leaves because they're not sexy, but this mother plant will probably be just a mother plant. So what I can do is I can wait for these vines to mature a bit and then cut them and stick them down below to create a bushy plant. And I also noticed that because it's kept in medium light, it started to put out darker foliage, which I really, really like. And I'm going to show you one in the front yard that is getting almost full sun, and you can see the difference. Here you go. I don't know how this plant ended up here on my front yard, but this is the same plant. It's flowering beautifully as well. I don't know why they're all flowering at the same time. Is it, maybe it's like the season or something? I don't know. But look at how like the color of the leaves change into like this light green. There's another one. This is a little bit further in the shade. As you can see, it's lost some of its dark shade to give you some of these more green. Beautiful. And the flowers like this. This is a typical Gesneria flower. I guess the ones indoors are not blooming as beautifully as the ones that are outdoors. Now I would say that this is the main attraction. These are our propagates, and it's grown on the windowsill, so it's getting a little bit more light than the parent plant. As you can see, the parent plant has the darker leaves way in the back, and this one has kind of a medium shade leaves. And this is doing okay. It's put out a lot of new growth here, and it's also flowering. So yeah, this is how you propagate them, and I guess I've shown you different ways you can care for them. They're actually quite adaptive to different conditions, and yeah, easy to grow, easy to propagate, and just absolutely stunning. I do recommend this plant for even the beginners. So yeah, with that, I bid you farewell, and thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you can find your hands on one of these and give it a try. And I might actually combine the parent plant with this cuttings because I do want a full pot of it, and I don't have enough space for too many plants. I'm running out of space basically. All right, see you in the next one. Bye bye. Thank you, Patreon members, for supporting the channel. Should you consider joining as a member, the Patreon link is Sean from Only Plants. It can also be found in this video description. I've started producing bonus contents for members. These include plant hauls, plant shopping, and mini bite-sized adventures. The same bonus contents will also be unlocked for you if you join to become a YouTube member of the channel. There is a monthly membership fee as small as a cup of coffee a month. Simply go to Only Plants channel page and click join. Your contributions help me grow the channel, do better content, and have a better quality of life. For that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.